Welcome back to Hey Kentucky. Now, with the report from the Herald-Leader this week about potential candidates for the 2019 Kentucky governor's race, I thought it would be a good time to take a step back and look at the race as a whole. 2019 may seem a little bit away, but in all actuality, it's not. As a matter of fact, these candidates must all declare whether or not they're going to run by January. So they basically have 6 months. And I would suspect you're going to start hearing from some of these candidates within the next couple of weeks. Now, as everybody knows, a look at the governor's race starts with the sitting governor, who has a chance to run for re-election, and that's Matt Bevin. He's had quite an up and down time as Kentucky governor. When he started, he was actually very popular. At one point, polls showed his approval rating in the high 60s, around 65 to 67%. But then came the pension issue, and all of a sudden, it dropped. When he suggested that he wanted to completely change the Kentucky pension plan, teachers revolted, and ever since then, Matt Bevin's popularity has fallen off the map. Some people believe it's in the mid-30s right now, which is extremely vulnerable for a governor. So the question is, will he run for re-election? Normally, you would think that would be a definite yes, but this year with Matt Bevin, maybe not. He so far has not raised any money. One of the things sitting governors have an advantage in, they can raise money throughout their governor time. But Bevin has only raised money to pay for his last race. He's still paying off those debts. So as of now, he has no infrastructure to run for re-election. And that makes some people wonder if he's even going to run. There's been some speculation that he might decide not to. Senator Mitch McConnell, as we said earlier today, is trying to urge him to run. But what if he doesn't? Well, another Republican's going to have to step up. There's been a lot of speculation that Congressman Jamie Comer, who ran against Bevin last time, would step in and run if Bevin does not. But when will Bevin make his decision? We're not sure. So the Republican side for right now is Bevin, at least temporarily. But what about the Democrats? And here it is a free-for-all. Lots of candidates being named, but I think 4 stick out. One is Lundergan-Grimes. She's the Secretary of State, and she's taken a very active role recently, commenting on most issues throughout the state. She cannot run for re-election as Secretary of State. She's term limited out. And I hear from sources that she's almost certain to run for governor. If she does, she will probably be the presumptive favorite. She has a lot of appeal, and in this year of the woman, I think she comes out initially with the lead. But what about everybody else? Andy Beshear, the Attorney General, is another candidate that if he runs, and most people think he probably will, he becomes a very important factor. He's the son of Governor Steve Beshear, and as Attorney General, he's been fighting with Matt Bevin on every possible issue. As a matter of fact, Beshear versus Bevin has been the biggest political story of the last 2 years. But he and Lundergan-Grimes sort of represent the two sides of the Kentucky Democratic Party. And if they go at each other, most of the mainstream of Kentucky Democrats will be split. And that leaves room for a couple of other candidates. How about Rocky Adkins? He's the House Minority Leader, and he's from Eastern Kentucky and has a strong base of support in the mountains. He's been in the state legislature for a long time, and Kentucky teachers have rallied around him a lot during the pension crisis. From what I hear, he is almost certain to run as well. And while he would, I think, have some difficulty in the cities in Kentucky, his rural support is very strong. And then there's Adam Edlin. He's the former state auditor. He was considering a run against Rand Paul for U.S. Senate until he was surprisingly defeated in the last election for re-election for auditor. He did the New Kentucky Project with me. He stayed involved in politics, and he's been working a lot on solar energy. He has a big base of support throughout the state and has a lot of donors who like him. I don't know if he's going to run, even though we do NKP together. He hasn't told me. But if he does, I think he too will be a strong candidate. So the Democrats have a chance to have 4 people, all of whom have bases of support, all of whom would go against each other in what I think would be a very rough primary. In all honesty, and I'm not just saying this, I think any of those 4 could win. And I think any of the 4 of them could come in last. There's really no way to know. But for Democrats who want to beat Matt Bevin, this is probably a good thing. For too long, they've just selected candidates based on whose turn it was, and a messy primary might be good. But here's one thing that's for certain. With all the passion and the energy we saw from teachers throughout this year, this next gubernatorial race will be one of the messiest that we've ever seen. There could be a primary on the Republican side, and there will definitely be a big one on the Democratic side. And if you're trying to guess who will be the next governor of Kentucky, I got to tell you, I don't think anybody can say for sure.